The stellar Voyager drifted silently through the darkness of space, its sleek silver hull reflecting distant starlight. Inside the luxury passenger vessel, the normal quiet hum of the engine suddenly changed to an alarming whine. Red warning lights flashed across every deck, casting eerie shadows on the faces of the alarmed alien passengers. In the engine control room, Blue's tentacles moved frantically across the control panels. Her aquatic species was known for staying calm under pressure, but even her blue-tinted skin had taken on a paler shade. Next to her, Iris's crystalline form sparkled with anxiety as status reports flooded their screens. Main reactor showing critical failure in sectors 7 through 12. Iris reported, her voice chiming like wind through crystal. Secondary systems are not responding to restart protocols. The ship's AI, known simply as SHIP, projected its holographic interface between them. Analysis complete. Without main power restoration, life support systems will fail in approximately 72 hours. Auxiliary power insufficient for passenger load. Blue's tentacles curled in frustration. We've tried every standard repair sequence. Nothing's working. She turned to the ship's database. Nearest repair station. Calculating. Ship responded. Nearest qualified assistance is a human maintenance engineer, currently stationed on Outpost 47, approximately 2 hours from our position at emergency thrust. Iris's crystalline surface frosted over slightly, a sign of distress among her people. A human. A Deathworlder. Surely there must be someone else. Negative. Ship replied. All other qualified engineering assistance is minimum 12 hours away. The human engineer, Marcus Reed, has level 9 certification for emergency repairs. Blue moved to the main viewing screen, bringing up the human's credentials. Her upper tentacles twisted in a gesture of surprise. Look at these repair logs. He's handled crisis situations before. But he's a Deathworlder. Iris chimed anxiously. Their planet's gravity is so high they develop dense muscle mass. They can accidentally break our equipment just by touching it. And their problem-solving methods are... She paused, searching for a diplomatic word. Unconventional. The ship's captain, a tall insectoid named Click, stepped into the control room. His antennae twitched as he assessed the situation. Ship has informed me of our options. Send the distress call to the human. Captain. Both engineers protested simultaneously. Click's mandibles clicked firmly. This is not a debate. We have 300 passengers aboard, including several diplomatic delegations. We cannot risk waiting for more. Conventional help. Blue reluctantly extended a tentacle toward the communication panel. The message was sent, and minutes later, a response came through. The screen showed a human face, darker skinned, with short black hair, and what appeared to be repair grease smudged on one cheek. This is Marcus Reed, receiving your distress call. I can reach you in about 2 hours. Sending my approach vector now. The aliens watched in mixed fascination and horror as Marcus moved around his workspace, casually lifting tools that would require anti-grav assists for most species. His movements were quick and sure, despite the obvious weight of his equipment. I'll bring my standard kit, Marcus continued. But based on your ship's specs, I might need to improvise some solutions. Your reactor design is different from what I usually work with. Iris's crystalline form chimed in distress. Improvise. This is a Class A luxury vessel. You can't just improvise repairs. Marcus's laugh came through the comm system. Ma'am, in my experience, every emergency repair involves some improvisation. Don't worry, I'll keep your ship in one piece. As the communication ended, Blue, Iris, and Captain Click shared worried looks. They had just invited a Deathworlder, a member of one of the most feared species in the galaxy, aboard their vessel. Ship, Blue asked quietly, what are the success rates for human emergency repairs? Historical data shows 94% success rate for human engineers in crisis situations, Ship responded. However, 73% of those successes involved methods classified as unorthodox by galactic standard protocols. Captain Click's antennae twitched again. Then we must hope the human unorthodox methods are exactly what we need. 2 hours felt like an eternity aboard the failing stellar Voyager. When the ship's sensors detected an approaching maintenance pod, everyone in the engine control room held their breath, or whatever passed for breathing in their respective species. The maintenance pod that attached to their airlock was surprisingly small and battered-looking. Blue's tentacles rippled with concern as she watched through the security feed. "That can't be up to safety standards," she muttered. The airlock cycled, and Marcus Reed stepped through. His engineer's suit looked like it had been modified multiple times, with extra pockets and tools attached everywhere. He carried a large toolbox in each hand with ease, despite the obvious weight that would have required anti-grav units for most species. "Nice ship you've got here," Marcus said, looking around with genuine appreciation. "Now, let's see what's wrong with her." Iris's crystalline form sparkled nervously as she watched him casually toss one of the heavy toolboxes onto a nearby workbench. The bench creaked but held. "Please be careful. That's sensitive equipment." "Don't worry," Marcus interrupted, already pulling out diagnostic tools. "I've worked with Crystal Tech before. Just need to adjust my touch a bit." To demonstrate, he picked up a delicate sensor array with surprisingly gentle fingers. Captain Click's antennae twitched as he observed the human's movements. "The main reactor chamber is this way, but I should warn you, the temperature there has risen to nearly 40 degrees Celsius." Marcus paused in the middle of organizing his tools. "Is that supposed to be dangerous?" "It's nearly fatal for most species," Blue explained, her tentacles curling in concern. The human shrugged. "That's just a warm summer day where I'm from. Let's take a look." As they walked to the reactor chamber, Marcus pulled out what looked like an ancient handheld scanner. Blue and Iris exchanged worried glances. Their own advanced diagnostic equipment hadn't been able to identify the problem. The reactor chamber's warning lights cast an ominous red glow over everything. Steam hissed from several joints, and the heat was intense. While the alien engineers stayed near the door with their cooling units at maximum, Marcus walked right in. The sweat on his face the only sign he noticed the temperature at all. "Interesting design," he said, running his scanner along the reactor's outer casing. "You've got a cascade failure in the magnetic containment field. Your fancy sensors probably missed it because they're calibrated for the proper field strength. Sometimes old tech works better for finding problems. It's less assuming about what should be there." Blue moved closer despite the heat, fascination overcoming her discomfort. "But the containment field is maintained by crystal matrix computers. They don't just fail." Marcus tapped his scanner. "They do if they're getting false readings. Look here." He pointed to a series of scratches on a nearby panel. "Micrometeorite impact. Barely broke the surface, but it created a hairline crack in the sensor crystal. Your computers are trying to compensate for bad data." Iris chimed in surprise. "How can you even see that? The surface damage is smaller than a grain of sand." "When you grow up on a high-gravity world, you learn to notice small details," Marcus explained, already pulling tools from his suit's many pockets. "Your muscles have to be precise because they're strong enough to break things. Same principle applies to engineering." He laid out his tools, a mix of advanced alien technology and what looked like primitive mechanical devices. "This is going to be interesting. We need to bypass the damaged sensor, but we can't shut down the reactor to do it. Not with life support running on backup power. That's impossible." Blue's tentacles waved in alarm. "The radiation levels alone." "For most species, yeah," Marcus agreed, checking something on his suit's readout. "But humans are pretty radiation resistant compared to most. We evolved with higher background radiation than most habitable worlds. Not immune, mind you, but I can handle about 20 minutes of exposure at these levels." Captain Click's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of both worry and interest. "You're suggesting a manual bypass, while the reactor is still running." Marcus grinned as he started pulling on a thicker pair of gloves. "Sometimes the best solutions are the simple ones. Besides, I've done trickier repairs than this. Ship, Blue asked quietly, what's the survival probability for this type of manual intervention? Calculating, Ship responded. For known species, 47% survival rate. However, human biological variables are not in my standard database. Good thing too, Marcus said, checking his tools one last time. We tend to break probability calculations. The reactor room buzzed with nervous energy as Marcus laid out his repair plan. He pushed together several floating display panels, creating a makeshift planning board that now showed a 3D model of the reactor's damaged section. The problem is bigger than we thought, Marcus said, pointing to a glowing red section of the model. That micrometeorite hit created a chain reaction in the crystal matrix. It's spreading like a crack in glass. Iris moved closer to the display, her crystalline form reflecting the holographic light. That's impossible. Our crystal matrices are designed to stop crack propagation. Under normal conditions, sure, Marcus agreed. He pulled a small piece of metal from one of his many pockets and held it up. But this isn't normal. See this? Found it embedded in the outer casing. It's got traces of exotic matter. Must have come from a recent ship explosion somewhere nearby. Blue's tentacles curled around her control pad as she analyzed the data. He's right. The exotic particle traces are interfering with the crystal's self-repair functions. But how did you know to look for that? Marcus smiled as he put the metal fragment in a secure container. Had a similar case last year on a mining vessel. Sometimes the universe throws you curveballs. Now, here's the real challenge. We need to replace the entire control crystal while keeping the reactor running. That's suicide. Captain Click's antennae went rigid with shock. Even with your radiation resistance, the exposure would be deadly in about 20 minutes. Marcus finished. He started pulling equipment from his toolboxes, which is why we're going to do it in 15. The human began laying out his tools on a floating tray. Each one looked like it had been modified, with extra grips and reinforced casings. The tricky part isn't just the radiation. When we pull the old crystal, we'll have near vacuum conditions for about 30 seconds while we swap in the new one. Blue moved forward, her tentacles steady with determination. I can help. My species can survive vacuum exposure for short periods. Marcus looked at her with newfound respect. That could work. Your tentacles would give us more precision too. But you'd be risking a lot. As are you, Blue replied simply. Iris chimed anxiously. The containment field will fluctuate during the swap, if it fails completely. Then the ship explodes and we all die, Marcus said matter-of-factly. But that's going to happen anyway if we don't fix this. At least this way we've got a chance. He pulled out what looked like a primitive plastic model of the reactor section. I made this while my pod was on the way here. Let's practice the sequence. For the next hour, Marcus and Blue rehearsed the repair sequence using the model. The human's hands were surprisingly gentle as he showed Blue exactly where to position her tentacles. Iris and Captain Click watched in fascination as the unlikely pair perfected their timing. Ship, Captain Click asked, what are the calculated odds of success? Based on observed practice sessions and known variables, Ship responded. Success probability is now 58.4%. However, human performance under pressure continues to exceed standard parameters. Marcus checked his suit's seals one final time. Blue, are you sure about this? Once we start, there's no backing out. The aquatic engineer's skin rippled with determination. I've never backed out of a repair in my life. I'm not starting now. Good. Marcus grinned as he picked up his tools. Because I've got another surprise. The exotic matter didn't just damage the crystal. It changed its quantum structure. That's why your backup systems aren't responding. They're getting quantum interference. Iris's crystalline surface frosted with shock. Then even if we replace the crystal, it'll happen again, Marcus confirmed. Unless we modify the new crystal to handle quantum fluctuations, which is why I brought this. He pulled out a small device that hummed with a strange energy. The little something I invented after that mining ship incident. Let's just hope it works as well this time. Captain Click's mandibles clicked rapidly. You're betting all our lives on untested technology. Welcome to human engineering, Marcus said, heading for the reactor chamber's inner door. Sometimes you have to roll the dice to win the game. The inner door of the reactor chamber slid open with a hiss of escaping air. Marcus stepped through first, his modified suit's cooling systems already working hard against the intense heat. Blue followed close behind, her specialized vacuum suit gleaming under the emergency lights. Radiation levels are already higher than expected, Eris reported from the control room, her crystalline form vibrating with tension. You have 17 minutes before reaching critical exposure. Marcus moved quickly to the damaged crystal housing, his boots magnetized to the deck. Better make it 15 to be safe. Blue, take position on the left side. Remember the sequence we practiced. The reactor's core pulsed with an eerie blue light, casting strange shadows through the steam that filled the chamber. Blue's tentacles moved with precise grace as she began disconnecting the safety interlocks. First lock disengage, she reported, her voice steady despite the danger. Marcus worked on the right side, his movements quick but careful. Second lock clear. Watch the power fluctuation when we pull the third one. Suddenly, the ship shuddered. Captain Click's voice came through their comms. We're picking up debris from the same source as the exotic matter. Minor impacts on the outer hull. Not so minor in here, Marcus grunted as another shake made him grab a support beam. The vibrations could shatter the damaged crystal if we're not careful. Blue's skin had taken on a paler shade, but her tentacles remained steady. Third lock disengage. Crystal housing is ready for removal. Marcus pulled out his quantum modification device and checked its readings. Okay, this is where it gets interesting. When we pull the old crystal, we'll have exactly 30 seconds before the containment field starts to collapse. Blue, you'll need to hold the new crystal perfectly still while I modify its quantum structure. 10 minutes until critical radiation exposure, Eris reminded them, her voice chiming with worry. Marcus positioned himself carefully, tools ready. On my mark. 3, 2, 1. Now. Blue's tentacles wrapped around the old crystal housing as Marcus released the final seal. Together, they smoothly pulled the damaged crystal free. Immediately, warning alarms blared throughout the ship as the reactor's containment field began to fluctuate. 25 seconds, ship announced calmly. Marcus activated his quantum modification device. It hummed to life, projecting a complex pattern of energy into the new crystal that Blue held steady with her tentacles. 20 seconds. The ship shuddered again, harder this time. Marcus nearly lost his grip on the device, but managed to brace himself against a support beam. Almost there. 15 seconds. Containment field at 60% strength. Blue's tentacles were starting to tremble from the strain of holding the crystal perfectly still. How much longer? Just a few more seconds, Marcus said through gritted teeth. Sweat poured down his face despite his suit's cooling systems. The quantum structure is almost stabilized. 10 seconds. Containment field at 40% strength. Another impact rocked the ship. This time, a piece of debris broke through the outer hull nearby, sending small fragments spinning through the chamber. Marcus instinctively threw himself in front of Blue and the crystal, letting his reinforced suit take the hits. 5 seconds. Done. Marcus shouted. Put it in, now. With incredible precision, Blue's tentacles slid the new crystal into place, while Marcus secured the housing. Their practiced movements, perfected during their rehearsals, paid off as the crystal clicked home with 2 seconds to spare. The reactor's angry red warning lights faded to a calm blue. The containment field stabilized, its strength actually higher than before. Quantum modification successful, ship reported. Reactor efficiency increased by 12% above previous baseline. Marcus slumped against a wall, checking the radiation badge on his suit. How's that for human engineering? Blue's skin had returned to its normal color. I've never seen anything like that. You used your own body as a shield. Part of being the Deathworlder, Marcus said with a tired smile. We're built tough, but we're not done yet. That hull breach needs fixing, and I'm betting there's more debris coming. Captain Click's voice came through their comms. There is. A lot more. And it's bringing something else with it. Ships. Unidentified ships. The control room's main screen showed 3 dark shapes approaching through the debris field. They moved with purpose, clearly not damaged ships drifting in space. Pirates. Captain Click's antennae twitched nervously. They must have detected our power fluctuations during the repair. Marcus studied the hull breach readings while wiping reactor coolant from his tools. We've got bigger problems. That exotic matter debris did something weird to the hull metal. Standard patches won't hold. Without hull integrity, we can't engage the engines to escape. Blue's tentacles moved rapidly across the diagnostic panel. Even if we could, the quantum disruption would tear the patches apart. Marcus dumped his toolbox onto a workbench, sorting through what looked like junk to the aliens. He pulled out pieces of metal, wire, and what appeared to be primitive mechanical parts. Good thing I never throw anything away. Iris, I need your help with something crazy. The crystalline engineer chimed uncertainly. What are you planning? We're going to make quantum-stabilized hull patches, Marcus said, already starting to modify his tools. Your crystalline structure can manipulate quantum fields naturally. If we combine that with some good old-fashioned human engineering. That's impossible. Eris protested. My crystal generation abilities are meant for computer systems, not hull repair. Sometimes impossible just means nobody's tried it yet. Marcus grinned, pulling out his modified quantum device. Blue, remember how we stabilized the reactor crystal? Same principle, but reversed. Instead of protecting against quantum fluctuations, we'll use them. Understanding flickered across Blue's skin in waves of color. The exotic matter is causing quantum disruption in the hull. If we could match that disruption pattern, the patch would phase lock with the damaged sections, Marcus finished. Iris, can you generate a crystal lattice in this shape? He quickly sketched a pattern on a display panel. Iris studied the design. It's crude, but yes, though it won't be nearly strong enough for hull repair. Doesn't need to be, Marcus said, already connecting pieces of metal to form a frame. The crystal just needs to guide the quantum fields. The real strength comes from this. He held up what looked like a piece of his own suit's armor plating. You're going to use your suit for patches. Captain clicked in disbelief. That's human engineering. Blue finished, her tentacles already reaching for tools. It's crazy enough to work. Marcus nodded. Deathworlder gear is built tough. My suit can handle more stress than your hull metal. We just need Iris's crystals to make it quantum compatible. The next 10 minutes were a blur of activity. Iris generated crystal patterns while Marcus and Blue quickly assembled them into the modified suit plates. The human's strong hands shaped metal that would normally require industrial equipment, while Blue's precise tentacles handled the delicate crystal alignment. Ships entering weapons range, Ship announced calmly. Estimate 5 minutes until they reach optimal firing position. How many patches do we need? Blue asked, finishing another assembly. Marcus checked the damage readings. 3 major breaches, 2 minor ones. We've got enough material for all of them, but installing them is going to be tricky. We'll need to work in vacuum again. I'll help, Blue said immediately. My tentacles are better suited for the fine adjustments. And I'll monitor the quantum field alignment. Eris added, her crystalline form glowing with determination. I still think this is impossible, but I want to see it work. Marcus gathered up their makeshift patches, each one a strange combination of advanced alien crystals and tough human engineering. Captain, we'll need you to keep those pirates busy for about 7 minutes. 7 minutes. Captain Click's mandibles clicked rapidly. The fastest hull repair in our records took 30 minutes. Then I guess we're about to set a new record, Marcus said, heading for the airlock. Blue, Iris, Let's show them what happens when you combine human crazy with alien precision. And Captain, if you've got any tricks up your sleeve, now's the time to use them. The pirate ships grew larger on the main screen as Marcus and Blue entered the airlock. Time was running out, but there was a new energy in the air, the feeling that just maybe impossible things were about to happen. Space stretched out before Marcus and Blue as they worked on the hull breaches. Their makeshift patches, crafted from suit armor and alien crystals, floated beside them in a neat row. The pirate ships were visible now, their dark hulls reflecting distant starlight as they approached. First patch in position, Blue announced, her tentacles holding the modified plate steady against the largest breach. Inside the ship, Iris monitored the quantum readings. Field alignment at 67%. Iris chimed through their comms. It's not enough. We need at least 85% for a stable bond. Marcus pushed himself closer to the breach, his magnetic boots clicking against the hull. The quantum disruption is stronger here. Blue, can you adjust the crystal orientation about 15 degrees? Blue's tentacles made microscopic adjustments to the patch. Marcus watched his modified scanner's readings climb slowly. 70%, 75%, 78%. A warning shot from the nearest pirate ship flashed past, lighting up space around them. Captain Click's voice came through their comms. They're demanding we surrender the ship. 3 minutes until they're in optimal firing range. No pressure, Marcus muttered, making a final adjustment to the quantum device. Iris, route power from the auxiliary systems to the crystal matrix. Just for a few seconds. That will leave us with only emergency lighting inside, Iris warned. Better dark than dead, Marcus replied. Now, the ship's lights dimmed, but the crystal in the patch blazed with energy. Field alignment 89%, Iris reported excitedly. It's working. The patch bonded to the hull with a flash of quantum energy. Marcus quickly ran his scanner over it. Perfect seal. 1 down, 4 to go. And we got about 2.5 minutes. They moved to the next breach. Blue's tentacles were trembling slightly from the strain, but her movements remained precise. This one's smaller. The quantum disruption pattern is different. Pirates launching boarding pods, ship announced calmly. Estimate 2 minutes until contact. Marcus worked faster, his hand steady despite the increasing pressure. Blue, hold this one at a 30-degree angle. Iris, get ready with that power boost again. The second patch went on faster than the first, their teamwork improving with practice. The third followed quickly after. But as they moved to the fourth breach, a piece of debris slammed into the hull nearby, sending vibrations through the metal. Look out! Blue's tentacles wrapped around Marcus, pulling him back just as more debris shot past. The impact had sent their remaining patches spinning off into space. 1 minute until boarding pods reach us. Ship updated. Pirates are charging weapons. Marcus looked at their situation. 2 breaches left. No more patches. The pirate ships grew larger by the second. Inside the ship, passengers huddled in the emergency shelters, depending on them to save the day. Then he looked at his suit. Well, this is going to be uncomfortable. Before Blue could stop him, Marcus began removing pieces of his suit's outer armor. Are you insane? She demanded. You'll freeze. Suit's inner layer is enough for about 3 minutes of exposure, Marcus said, already shaping the armor plates with his bare hands, the muscles in his arms straining with effort. Iris, prepare for field alignment. Blue, get ready with those crystals. 30 seconds until boarding pods arrive, ship announced. Marcus's hands were shaking from cold now, but he didn't stop. With Blue's help, they positioned the makeshift patches made from his own suit. His skin was starting to frost over where it was exposed to space. Field alignment 90%, Iris called out. Quantum lock achieved. The final patch sealed just as the boarding pods clanged against the hull and other sections. Marcus was shivering violently now, his remaining suit systems struggling to keep him alive in the vacuum of space. Hull integrity restored, ship reported. Engine power available. Captain Click's voice came through. Hold on, everyone. These pirates want to see what a luxury liner can do. Let's show them. The Stellar Voyager's engines roared to life, their quantum-stabilized patches holding strong as the ship prepared for emergency maneuvers. Marcus felt Blue's tentacles wrapping around him, pulling him toward the airlock as the first sounds of fighting echoed through the ship. Time to get inside, Blue said firmly. You've done enough crazy human things for one day. Not yet, Marcus managed through chattering teeth. Those pirates don't know they're dealing with a ship full of impossible things. And I've got one more idea. The Stellar Voyager's medical bay was chaos as Marcus stripped off what remained of his frozen suit. His skin was pale from cold exposure, but his eyes were bright with determination. You need to rest, Blue insisted, her tentacles arranging warming blankets around him. The security teams can handle the pirates. Security teams aren't engineers, Marcus said, already pulling on a spare emergency suit. And those pirates made one big mistake. They damaged my work. He grinned, showing teeth in a way that made several alien medical staff step back nervously. Iris chimed in through the room's comm system. The pirates have breached 2 lower decks. Our security is holding them back, but their quantum weapons are disrupting our defensive shields. Quantum weapons. Marcus's eyes lit up. That's why they were following the exotic matter debris field. They're using the same quantum disruption technology. Blue, remember how we stabilized the reactor? Blue's skin rippled with sudden understanding. You want to modify the ship's shields the same way. Better. Marcus pulled out his quantum manipulation device. We're going to turn their own weapons against them. Iris, I need you to link your crystal matrix into the shield generators. We're going to create a quantum feedback loop. Captain Click's voice crackled through the comms. Whatever you're planning, do it fast. They're charging weapons for another volley. Marcus ran through the corridors with Blue close behind, ignoring the medical staff's protests. They reached the shield control room just as the ship shuddered from another hit. Shields at 34%. Ship reported calmly. Hull integrity holding on quantum-stabilized patches. Marcus plugged his device into the main shield controls while Blue's tentacles flew across multiple panels at once. Iris's crystalline form glowed brightly as she interfaced directly with the ship's systems. This is either going to be brilliant or blow us all up, Marcus said cheerfully, making final adjustments. Iris, when I give the word, channel everything you've got into the shield matrix. Blue, be ready to modulate the quantum field. The main screen showed the pirate ships moving into position for a killing blow. Their weapons glowed with the same strange energy that had damaged the hull. Now, Marcus shouted. The shield generators screamed as power surged through them. Iris's crystal structure blazed like a small sun as she channeled energy into the matrix. Blue's tentacles moved in perfect synchronization, adjusting quantum fields microseconds after Marcus called out the changes. The pirates fired. Their quantum beams struck the Stellar Voyager's shields and bounced back. Direct hits on all 3 pirate vessels, ship announced. Their quantum weapons are experiencing catastrophic feedback loops. On the screen, the pirate ship's weapons overloaded in cascading explosions. Their shields failed, and their engines went dark. Engineering brilliance, Captain Click clicked appreciatively as he entered the control room, using their own quantum disruption against them. Just a bit of human improvisation combined with alien precision, Marcus said modestly. Speaking of which, he swayed slightly, the adrenaline finally wearing off. Blue caught him with her tentacles. Now you rest. That's an engineer's order. The pirates are surrendering, ship reported. Local security forces are responding to our signal. They'll be here in 20 minutes. Iris's crystal form chimed with laughter. 20 minutes. After everything we just did, that feels like forever. Plenty of time for a nap then, Marcus yawned. But then he looked at the quantum device in his hand and at the modified shield systems. Although, I think we just invented a whole new type of defensive technology. Want to see what else we can do with it? Blue's skin rippled with both exasperation and amusement. Rest first. Impossible inventions later. Deal, Marcus agreed. But I'm keeping notes. After all, he smiled at his alien colleagues, who had become something more than just coworkers today. The best innovations come from combining different perspectives, even if one of those perspectives is from a crazy Deathworlder. Captain Click's antennae twitched with what might have been humor. I believe I speak for everyone when I say that after today we're looking forward to seeing what other impossible things you come up with. As the Stellar Voyager's passengers emerged from their shelters and repair crews began cleaning up, Marcus looked at the strange but effective combination of technologies they'd created. Sometimes the best solutions came from the most unlikely combinations, just like the best teams.